Okay, you little mathematicians, time to learn about squares and square roots. So, we know that when we take a number to the second power, we can call that squaring the number. So we would say 6 squared equals 36. But why is raising something to the second power called squaring it? That's what we're here to figure out today. Well, one of the reasons is that we know if we had a line that was a length of 6, and we turned that line, we used that as the root of this square that we were drawing. We wanted to grow a square out of that line. Then we know if it was a square, it'd have all equal sides. So if this length down here was 6, then this would also have to be 6. And the area of a square is length times width. So the area would be 36. So another way we could do that would be to just notice, instead of drawing the square, if we know the length of one of the sides of a square is 6, then to find out the area of a square, we could just square 6 and get the area, which is 36. So that is why we call it squaring. You take the number, imagine it was the length of one side, and then you square it, raise it to the second power, and it will give you the area of a square you could build with that number. But what if we want to work backwards? What if we know the area of a square, and we want to find out the length of one of its sides? That is when we can use the opposite of squaring, the opposite of raising to a power, which is taking the root, and in our case, taking the square root of a number. So this symbol here means square root. You can see the 2 there. So, if we know that the area of a square is 64, we can think to ourselves, okay, what number would have to go here and here would be the same number? What number multiplied by itself would give us 64? And we can think, well, I know what that's going to have to be. Because 6 multiplied by itself is 36, 7 multiplied by itself is 49. So to get 64, we'll have to multiply 8 by itself. 8 times 8 will give us 64. So we just found the square root of 64. And here's a definition of square root you should probably write down. The square root of a number is a value that, when multiplied by itself, gives that number. So, for a couple quick examples, the square root of 16. What this means is we're trying to find a number that when we multiply it by itself will give us 16. Notice, by the way, I didn't write the 2 here or here. That's something I changed. You know how you don't write a 1 in front of an x? You don't need to do that. It's kind of the same thing here. If there's nothing written there, we just know that it's a 2 that should be there. I'll write it there for us now. But if you see a root without a number there, it's implied that it's a 2. So what number multiplied by itself gives us 16? That number is 4. What number multiplied by itself will give us 25? That number is 5. Now you're going to try a couple problems on your own.